This episode is also brought to you by Canby Foursquare Church. Since 1978, a place to grow, connect, and serve. Sunday services on campus and online at 9 and 11 a.m. Learn more at canbyfoursquare.com.
Welcome to Now Hear This Canby,
your source for news.
The threat of a possible teacher strike was avoided this week.
There's a new, irresistibly cute creature winning over fans, and its name is Scootaloo.
Sports.
It's like Lucy in the football. You want to kick a field goal, if they take it away from you.
We had to learn how to win.
Goal can't be in the last second of the game!
And interesting conversations.
Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact.
I just really enjoy writing gossip as if I was a bear.
With an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast.
And if it would have hit me in the face, I think I would have died. I really do.
I guarantee you would have died, man. Are you kidding me?
welcome to Now Hear This Canby podcast. Thanks for listening. I'm Tyler Clausen, and this is what's happening in your community this week. 2 people were killed in what police determined to be a murder-suicide in southwest Canby Saturday night, which was not discovered until Sunday. Canby Police and Fire initially responded to the scene in the 300 block of Southwest 6th Avenue on a reported medical call that an Amazon delivery driver phoned in at approximately 5:54 p.m. on Sunday. It was called in by an Amazon worker who was delivering a package to the residence, Canby Police Chief George Trost told The Current Monday. The garage door was open and they saw what appeared to be 2 people on the garage floor bleeding. They did a very good job in seeing something and calling 911. I feel sorry for them. I'm sure it was not a nice scene to see. First responders arrived and located 2 individuals, a man and a woman in their 50s, dead from an apparent gunshot wound. A firearm was recovered at the scene, Trost said. On Tuesday morning, Canby Police identified the victims as Michelle Callange, 54, and Shad Bruns, 49. The investigation by Canby Police found that Bruns shot and killed Callange, then himself, Trost said. Neighbors reported hearing the gunshots the previous evening around 7 p.m. Saturday. It was not immediately clear how the bodies were not discovered until almost 24 hours later. The home was secured by Canby police officers, and detectives from the Clackamas County Major Crimes Team arrived to assist in the investigation. Chaplains from the Canby Fire District were also on the scene to help locate and notify family members. This is obviously a tragic situation, and our hearts go out to everyone affected by the incident, Trost said. Also left in the wake of the tragedy were 3 pets, a silver black lab and chocolate lab, along with a 15-year-old orange tabby cat. Abundance of Love Pet Services is working with the executor of the victims' estates to find a good home for the animals. If interested, call 503-805-9876. The killing is the first victim in Canby city limits in more than 8 years, when 43-year-old Grants Pass resident Edward Kelly Spangler was found dead beside his SUV at Locust Street Park in February 2014 in a drug-related shooting. The shooter in that case, Michael Arlen Oren, 27 at the time, pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and first-degree robbery the following February and was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. 2 alleged compliances, Francis Paul Weaver and Shannon Buttoncourt, also ultimately pleaded guilty to their roles in the crime and were given lighter sentences. 3.5 years ago, the community was rocked by a shocking and tragic quadruple homicide committed by Mark Leo Gregory Gago, who killed 4 of his own family members, including his infant daughter. Gago was shot and killed by deputies who arrived on the scene and found him reportedly in the act of attempting to strangle a 5th victim, an 8-year-old girl. But that crime occurred about 10 minutes outside of town by South Barlow Road between Canby and Hubbard. The initial response and investigation were led by the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. A reported gas leak early Wednesday morning closed traffic on Highway 99E through the heart of Canby as crews worked to repair the damage. Canby Fire Chief Jim Davis said that the leak was reported at 12:48 a.m. and was finally stopped at about 7 a.m. as Northwest Natural crews worked throughout the night to repair the damaged gas line. "Long night," Davis remarked. Commuters in the area reported a strong odor of natural gas in the vicinity of 99E and North Grant Street Wednesday morning. Canby Fire and Utility crews closed all lanes of Highway 99E through Canby between Elm and Ivy Streets to repair the leak, with traffic being diverted to 13th via South Ivy and Southwest Burke Parkway. Mike's Place on Northwest 1st was evacuated early Wednesday morning due to strong odor of gas and the fact that it was nearly closing time, 2:30 a.m., Davis told us. Firefighters took natural gas readings at Mike's and other locations on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Avenues and found that they were not at unsafe or explosive levels. Several readings closer to the Union Pacific Railroad tracks, however, caused some concerns, and trains were stopped until after 2 a.m. There was some wind blowing north and toward the downtown area, Davis said, but fortunately, most of the gas was going straight up. The winds picked up after an hour after the incident and it dissipated further. Canby Fire and the construction company's flagging crews assisted with directing traffic. Even when Highway 99E reopened Wednesday morning, it remained down to 2 lanes due to the ongoing repair work. It was a good response from Northwest, David said. If they had just shut off the valves, a good portion of Canby would have been without natural gas. They chose to weld a new valve on either side. It was a fairly technical operation. An Oregon State Police DUI traffic stop in Clackamas earlier this month led to the recovery of thousands of grams of methamphetamines, guns, more than $14,000 in cash, and other drugs. The initial stop occurred at approximately 5 p.m. September 2nd when an OSP trooper pulled over 37-year-old Thomas James Freeman of Portland for a traffic violation. During the traffic stop, the driver displayed signs of impairment, and after a subsequent investigation was taken into custody for DUI, OSP reported in a September 27th press release. A subsequent search of the vehicle revealed several signs of recent drug activities and a loaded pistol, OSP said. The vehicle was searched on probable cause, uncovering several locked boxes that were seized and held pending a search warrant application. The search warrants were served on September 14th, and the locked boxes were found to contain 3,946.25 grams of methamphetamine, 42.9 grams of psilocybin, $14,131 in U.S. currency, 10 guns, including handguns and semi-automatic rifles, and 6 unknown pills. OSP troopers were assisted by detectives from the OSP Criminal Investigations Department, Highway Enforcement Initiative, and Major Crimes Section. The Oregon State Police Domestic Highway Enforcement Initiative is supported by the Oregon-Idaho High-Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, which is an Office of National Drug Control Policy sponsored counter-drug grant program that coordinates with and provides funding resources to multi-agent drug enforcement initiatives. Cougar Country hometown sports coverage is brought to you by Reif and Hunsaker PC. When you need an attorney, turn to the firm Canby has trusted for over 50 years. Call them today at 503-266-3456 for the latest sports news. Follow us on Twitter, Cougar Country, and Instagram at Cougar Country Pod. The Canby cross-country team has been pleased with its performance on senior night at Molalla River State Park last week, as two of those seniors, Maddox Oliver and Jack Joyce, finished first and third, respectively, to lead their squad to victory in a 5-team field. Oliver completed the 5,000-meter course in 16 minutes and 42.83 seconds, more than half a minute ahead of second-place finisher Wyatt Montgomery, another senior from Lapine. Maddox, of course, is our leader, both on the race course and in practice, head coach Tom Milbrook said afterward. He'll be a top kid in the league and one of the top kids in the state. We've got Jack Joyce right behind him and a pretty good pack of 5. They're that meet to meet, step it up, and run well. But in a true team effort, the Cougs claimed 6 of the top 10 spots Wednesday. Joyce third, sophomore Andrew Dewar fourth, Jacob Tilden, a junior, in 7th, freshman Corbin Stodert in 9th, and junior Rhett Smith in 10th. Andrew had a great race, Milbrook said. A couple of others had side aches, stuff like that, but you've got to work through that and look to the future, and our future is bright. Canby finished on top with 24 points, 18 ahead of second-place LaSalle Prep. Lapine claimed third with 91, and Putnam and Hillsborough rounded out the field. Millbrook applauded the boys' team for their work over the summer, as well as looking to and learning from past team leaders like Tommy O'Neill and Matthew Powell. The girls' team is younger and more inexperienced, Millbrook said, but are hardworking, teachable, and have already shown great strides in the fall season. We're basically starting over on the girls' side, he said. Our girls are real green, but they're very willing, and they're fighting things out there. They're figuring things out, their attitudes are good, and their work habits are good. They're going to be the most impressive team in the league. The girls' team top runner, Caitlin Doman, has been dealing with an IT band issue and did not race this week, but Millbrook expects her to compete for a spot in state championship if she gets healthy by districts. On Wednesday, junior Nika Chernyshev was the top finisher for Canby, coming in 16th with the time of 26 minutes and 24 seconds, followed by sophomore Melia Stodart in 17th, freshman Madison Skogman in 19th, junior Hadley Bierma in 20th, and Montserrat Freyas in 24th. The Cougs placed second with a score of 51 behind LaSalle Prep with 15 ahead of Hillsborough. Putnam, which did not field enough runners to qualify for a team score, was impressed with the Harriers it did bring, claiming first, second, fourth, and sixth in individual results. Canby's next action will be Saturday, October 1st at the Shampooey Invitational at Shampooey State Park in St. Paul. The girls' varsity race starts at 11 a.m., followed by the boys at 11:30. For photos, find this story on our website at canbyfirst.com. Wow, Frankie, that sounds great. I didn't know that you could play the kalimba.
Yeah, well, I've been practicing a lot. I'm really hoping to make it onto the 434th season of America's Got Talent.
Well, good luck with that, man.
Yeah, hey, I was actually just about to check my email and see if they responded.
Uh-huh. Yeah?
Oh.
What?
Well, they hated it.
No way.
Yeah, they said it was really bad, but not in a funny way, so they're not interested.
Dang. What song did you end up playing?
The same one I was playing earlier. Listen, here's what I uploaded.
Oh. I mean, I kind of like it. It's like a dark remix meets Star Wars sort of sound.
No. That's not what I recorded at all. How did this happen?
Dude, it's like I always tell you. That choppiness you're hearing is because your internet provider speeds are on the slower side. Everyone focuses on downloading, but upload speeds are just as critical for students, remote workers, would-be reality talent show stars, really anybody who uses the internet to share their passion with the world.
Is there like a show called America's Got Bad Internet that I could audition for?
Maybe. Or you could just switch to DirectLink. They've got the most reliable upload speeds to pass any audition test. For uploads at the speed of learning, visit www.directlink.coop/internet or give them a call at 503-266-8111.
I'm Roz Mason, Democratic candidate for Senate District 26. I'm deeply honored to announce I've also been endorsed by the Independent Party of Oregon. Next time, I'll talk inflation. Here's some context before my next ad. If the income distribution from 1947 to 1974 had held steady, regular people's income would be double today. Instead, income inequality exploded. The top 1% of Americans have taken $50 trillion from the bottom 90%. That's from the title of a Time magazine article you can find online. How did it happen? Wall Street finance deregulation, massive stock buybacks for executive salaries and shareholder profits, overtime rules, and the right to unionize being chipped away, allowing mergers and acquisitions, so now a few companies have near monopolies. We can do better. Until next time, this was paid for by Mason for Oregon 21968.
I have got my hands full today with talking with Mike Doc Harms, longtime veterinarian in the area. Welcome back, Mike.
Thank you very much, sir.
And also his wife, Dixie. Hi, Dixie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So
I think.
Right. We'll see, right? How are you guys doing today?
Doing good, as best we can at our age.
Yeah, absolutely. May I ask how old you guys are?
I'll be 85 Thanksgiving, and Dixie just turned 80.
Wow. Yeah, young spring chicken over here.
Yeah, right.
Child bride, she said.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Robbing the cradle, Mike.
That's what they told me.
Well, that's a good... I'd love to hear how you guys met.
Well,
we grew up.
My family and Dixie's family both raised livestock. Both exhibited our animals at the state fair in Salem.
Back in the day.
Dixie and I known each other. I was in high school getting out. She just started high school. And they had concerts and stuff at the fair, and we would go to a concert together.
Yeah.
She lived in Eugene. I lived here in Canby, of course. And we kept corresponding and dating at the fair. And, I started my senior year at Oregon State. Dixie started as a freshman during my senior year.
Yeah.
And we dated in college. And state fair, I got accepted into vet school in the fall of 1960. And I got an engagement ring for her.
Still got it.
And we're at the state fair, and I proposed to her at the state fair.
Wow.
My normal steady hands were shaking a little bit, and I dropped the ring. I had to pick it back up. So we were engaged
I've still got it.
in the fall of 1960, and we got married halfway through my first year in vet school in Pullman.
Yeah. The proposal, Doc, did you do anything? Were you on the Ferris wheel or?
Oh, no. We both had stores. We had to exhibit our animals.
Yeah.
We go grab a sandwich or a hot dog or something like that. But wasn't, quote, romantic, as you'd say, but we had a lot in common, and we've been married till in January, it'll be 62 years.
Amazing. Wow.
It's a damn long time to be married to the same old broad.
I told him that I got my DVM degree.
Yeah.
Dixie got a PhD, which was putting hubby through school.
And what did you do for work, Dixie?
Whatever I could find.
Yeah, yeah. Is that about how you remember the romance? Did he describe it pretty well?
His family and my family both involved in livestock, and so that was part of my life and part of his.
Yeah.
So, I didn't think anything about it.
Yeah.
It was, and we all were familiar with the folks who were in livestock or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they all became friends.
Yeah. His decision to go through, or probably your joint decision, but to go through, go into veterinary school after, kind of growing up together and knowing him so well, that really made sense to you, I imagine. That just seemed like a good fit for him.
It was what he really wanted.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't I want him to have that?
Yeah.
I would and did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I didn't even think any more about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was very fortunate that going to Oregon State, I was in animal science. Of course, being a sheep person, I was attracted to the sheep facility.
Yeah.
And my last year there, I lived at the sheep barn. I had a room there. And the shepherd would always go to the Oregon State Vet Diagnostic Lab for coffee because he knew all the vets, and they took me along.
Yeah.
Well, the director of the vet lab, Dr. Smith, said, "Mike, why don't you apply to vet school?" And I said, "I don't think I got the grades." He said, "You go get an application and come back down here." So I went up to the advisor, told him what I wanted, and he just laughed and he says, "You haven't got the grades." I said, "It's only going to cost me a nickel because that's what a stamp was worth."
Yeah.
Come back down, Dr. Smith sat there and helped me fill it out. I got some local references, sent it in, and lo and behold, I was accepted.
Wow.
Scary.
Yeah, I bet.
And when, as I was going to vet school, one of my professors at Oregon State took over a professorship in the animal science department at Washington State. And he asked me, he said, "Mike, you got a place to live?" I said, "No, I haven't figured that out yet."
Yeah.
He said, "Well, Elaine and I have a bedroom down the basement of our house." So I go to vet school. I lived with my old college professor. I had a room in the basement. And then Dixie and I are getting married, and they had a friend that had a business like Cutsworth, one of those independent grocers. A friend of theirs, they hired Dixie, but she had the job started 1st January.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't getting married till the 29th. So Joe and Elaine said, "Well, Mike, Dixie can stay with our daughter." So Dixie stayed roomed with her daughter. I was down in the basement. She went to work. I went to vet school. We came home, got married, and moved into college housing.
There you go. Oh, wow.
So that started a long time ago,
what
but
you gotta do.
Exactly.
But it was veterinary school was challenging, but
what you wanted all
worlds
your
of
life.
fun. And I was fortunate when I got out of vet school to get a job in Corvallis, working with Dr. Clark's clinic. And
probably the best boss he ever had.
When I
He was a great man.
When I got back to Pullman, she knew I had a job before I did because Doc called her up. I call him Doc Clark, and wanted to make sure she knew what she was getting into.
Yeah.
Being married to a veterinarian.
Yeah.
And I get back to vet school, and she says, "You got a job."
Oh wow. Well, there you go.
So that
Talk them into
started my career in Corvallis. We were there 6 months, 6 years. And we came home Christmas 1969, I think it was.
Are you sure it was that?
And driving up Lone Elder Road, here's Mount Hood in all her glory. I said, man, I miss that old mountain.
Yeah.
And a neighbor came up Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and he said, Mike, I bought the property at Lone Elder.
Yeah.
He says, I'll build you a vet clinic. And I thought it was too many Tom and Jerry talking. I didn't pay much attention to it. But he said, no, you're serious. So we sketched out plans for a little clinic, basically what we had in Corvallis.
Yeah.
He called me up and said, I got all the bids, when you want to open? And I said, wait a minute. And when does the phone book come out? He said, 1st of June. I said, okay, we'll open the 1st of June.
There you go.
So 1st of June, 1970, I started the Canby Veterinary Clinic there at Lone Elder.
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny that Dixie said that Doc Clark was probably the best boss he ever had, because after that he was just working for himself.
Well, I was working with Dixie.
Yeah,
working with Dixie.
There you go.
He didn't have a choice.
We were a partnership in the clinic down there.
Yeah.
When we first started out, she'd answer the phone, do the books, help in surgery, help with treatments, just everything.
Yeah.
And we had the county allowed us to put a mobile home behind the clinic manufactured home. So we had 2 kids growing up. So we ran an intercom between the kids' bedroom to right outside our surgery, because I was doing large animal work a lot during the day and then doing some of my surgery and stuff in the evening.
Yeah.
The kids could never figure out how we knew if they were getting in trouble.
They didn't know about the intercom.
They didn't know about the intercom.
They were on candid camera. You obviously did large animal. Did you do small animals as well?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did
dogs and cats.
Dogs and cats, anything that came in.
Chickens.
Yeah.
Chicken, duck, geese.
Yeah.
We had stump-tail macaque monkeys.
A what?
Stump-tail
macaque monkey.
What?
Somebody brought one in and...
Well, one of the dentists in town, I won't name him.
He knows who he is.
But he
probably still does.
Called me and says, I got this client that wants me to pull the incisor teeth on these, or the canines on this pet monkey.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to do it at your place. I don't want to see anybody seeing a monkey coming out of my dental clinic. So I called the zoo veterinarian and figured out how to do the anesthesia on this thing.
Uh-huh.
And
it doesn't have just a setting for monkey?
I don't think so.
You had to adjust the dosage, but anyway.
Oh, gotcha.
You're trying to pull these, and he was sweating bullets because these weren't diseased teeth. They were nice, healthy.
Yeah.
I told you it wouldn't be an easy job.
So the client wanted, or the pet owner wanted them pulled so it couldn't bite?
Yeah, that's what they're afraid of, getting bit. But, everything we practiced, mixed animal practice for quite a few years. One day I had one of my better clients had a cow that was calving and in trouble.
Yeah.
So I stuck my head in the office. In the waiting room, there's 4 or 5 people in there. I told them I had an emergency obstetric call and I'd be back within an hour. This elderly lady got up and said, I had an appointment to get my cat's nails trimmed. I got back from the call. I told Dixie, I'm going to work for the people that I can help make a living.
Yeah.
And we sold the small animal business. Didn't say it was the best thing I ever did.
It's where the money was, but hey.
I got to do things with my kids when they were in high school, go to their ball games. My daughter was very involved in FFA, and so was my son, and we got to go to those. But I was a farm boy at heart, and that's where my...
Yeah. So when did you make that decision to divest the small animal practice?
It was back in the late 1980s, about 15 years.
Yeah.
1983, 4, 5 in there somewhere.
Okay.
Hey, Tyler. Read any good books lately?
Yeah, actually, I'm reading a really good one right now.
Awesome. What's it about?
It's kind of complicated, but there's like these two kids with an absent parent, and then this mysterious stranger shows up with his sinister accomplices, and they just start wreaking havoc in their lives. I think it's like a Faustian metaphor.
Wow, that sounds really dense.
It is.
Interesting, though. Who wrote it?
You know, I think it's like a doctor. Starts with like an S or something. Sos.
Tyler, are you reading The Cat in the Hat?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to. It's taken me like 2 months to get this far.
Okay. Well, hey, whatever your interest or reading level, open the world of all things books at the Book Nook in downtown Canby.
Yeah, guys, this local, independently owned and operated store is your one-stop shop for the latest releases and great deals on a huge variety of previously owned books, as well as games, art, and writing supplies and gifts.
They also do book clubs and game nights if you're looking for some fun, healthy activities right here in Canby. And hey, you know, for you, Tyler, they have a really expansive selection of children's books.
Oh, cool. Anyway, check them out on Facebook and Instagram, online at booknookcanby.com, or stop by 294 Northwest 2nd Avenue and let their friendly staff introduce you to your new favorite read. Hey, Frankie, why do you think I'd be interested in children's books?
We'll talk about it later.
Oh, okay.
Well, I want to hear more about kind of growing up. I assume you grew up here, around here, where you now live on Farms Road, family land.
Well,
yes,
we go back a long way in this area. My mother's family settled out here about 2 miles away in 1846.
Okay.
One of the first wagon trains down the Barlow Trail.
Yeah.
Her maiden name was Dribble.
Yeah.
And my father, his family was a sea captain or a cook on a sailing vessel that came into Portland, and he bailed ship, came out here and started homesteading in the early 1870s. So this place that we're on right now...
That was your father?
This was my grandfather.
Yeah.
My great-grandfather lived where Joni Harms lived, just up the road.
Okay. And Joni...
And they say, how is Joni related to you? And I tell her, Joni's granddad and my granddad were brothers.
Okay.
She lives on her granddad's place. I live on my granddad's place. We're side by side.
Gotcha.
So this area here, originally not the original home anymore, but it was built right around 1900.
Okay.
My dad was born in 1910, and after my grandmother passed away, my brothers and I bought the property, and Mom and Dad lived next door where my uncle, my dad's brother, used to live till they moved over in the Needy area. So we've been here since about we've lived on this place for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my family raised purebred sheep, pigs, and I grew up raising those.
Sheep for wool?
Wool and back, my granddad, my uncle, and my brother and my dad made their living exhibiting sheep up and down the West Coast.
Yeah.
And we had 5 breeds of sheep. Most people have 1 or 2, but we had 5. We had 2 wool breeds, 2 mutton breeds, and then an in-between one.
Yeah.
So they made their living during the Depression exhibiting sheep.
Yeah.
They'd get in boxcars in Canby and go by train to these fairs. And the train would move them from fair to fair. And we raised pigs. My dad had registered Chester Whites, and he wanted to make sure people didn't say I just used some of his pigs in FFA. So I had black pigs, so it was easy to tell them apart.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to have as a future farmer's advisor Mr. Ray Rife, who became attorney in town but started out as one of the best agriculture teachers in the state.
Right.
And I became a state FFA officer my junior year, and I was awarded Star Farmer degree, the highest award I could get.
Wow.
Back in 1955.
Wow.
And that was my background. Of course, I played sports in high school, wonderful coaches. My baseball coach, especially Charlie Driggers.
Yeah.
And
I think you were on that state champion runner-up team, weren't you?
We got to the semifinals in Seaside. We graduated and then had to drive to Seaside the next morning to play, and we got beat 1 or 2 runs.
Yeah.
We did pretty good for the first 4 or 5 innings, and then fatigue set in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always thought we should have played that game a day later, and we'd have been a lot better off.
Yeah, that kind of happened this last year when we were in the state championship again, and it was really originally supposed to be before graduation, and then they had to reschedule it due to rain, and folks kind of wondered if it might have been.
My brother
different.
Played on the last team that played for the state championship. My brother Jed, who's in Des Moines, Iowa now, he and Frank Cutfors were on the same team.
Yeah.
And I was just graduated from Oregon State, and back then I took a carload of the players to Milton Freewater for a ball game.
Yeah, I remember that. So, how long did you practice veterinary medicine in Canby?
I'm still active, but just doing more consultant work right now.
Yeah.
And regulatory. But I started in 1970, so I'm just finishing
52 years.
52 years. I've been practicing in Oregon for 58 years.
Yeah. Still do work with the rodeo, do you?
What was that?
You still do work with the rodeo, Canby Rodeo?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What's your role with
I worked for I did a lot of work at the fair when we started, because originally I just volunteered.
Yeah.
Help people out because my clients were there, and then finally they decided they'd pay me a little stipend.
Yeah.
Let it ring.
I'm good at that.
And then with the rodeo, it became rodeo had to have a veterinarian on staff.
Yeah.
So I was appointed by the rodeo board and worked the rodeo. And there was a rodeo in Central Point Oregon, called the Wild Rogue Pro Rodeo. I worked that for a couple of years, and I told him, I says, now look, there's a hell of a lot of veterinarians between Canby and Central Point. I said, I know you got a veterinarian in Central Point that's a cowboy type guy. Well, they said when we needed him, he was drinking beer and with his buddies.
In the beer
So
garden.
I worked.
Go figure.
I worked down there. I worked 2 or 3 rodeos down there, and the ones at Canby, and they nominated me for Veterinarian of the Year for Pro Rodeo.
Yeah.
And got tripped to Las Vegas to the national finals.
Yeah.
I didn't win, but I was nominated, and I always figured out, how does a veterinarian in Canby, Oregon compete with the boys from Oklahoma and Texas?
Yeah.
And they don't.
But we did. We had a good
That's
time.
how. Yeah.
The rodeo committee was very gracious, hospitable, took care of our needs while we were in Vegas.
Yeah. What year was that? When you were nominated?
2016, 2017,
Yeah.
2018.
Okay, 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, they came to me and said, Doc, we don't want you to get hurt. I said, I don't either. So I must have been 78, something like that. And I said, fine, no problem. I think they were a little worried if
Your age.
just hurt my feelings. Well, no. And Dr. Sundholm was Equus Veterinary Clinic in Beaver Creek, excellent veterinarian, so he and I worked together there for a year or so. But
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the hospitality and the camaraderie I got working with the rodeo. Tell the story on myself. Trevor Brazil was a world champion, all-around cowboy, made more money than anybody in the history of the sport. I got back to my office and I get this phone call. Trevor Brazil has an emergency at the rodeo grounds. And I thought, oh my God, here's this $150,000 horse is all I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I come roaring in there and he's got his motorhome hooked up with the trailer. And he come out and says, my little dog's having seizures. I says, oh my God. He says, he was having epileptic seizures. And he said, I called my vet in Texas, and he said to give him a Valium. I said, Trevor, you headed for Caldwell? Yeah. I says, well, he'll sleep all the way there.
Oh, that's
Big
funny.
sigh of relief.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least they could have been worse.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, it makes me shake my head and think sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't.
That's right.
We've had a
bad time anyway.
Yeah.
We had a few accidents in the arena that we took care of, but
Yeah.
just normal things that happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's been a great experience. I've enjoyed working with the people at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
My kids have all went through the 4-H FFA program. Now my grandkids are. And
the good
we've got a
times.
picture of my granddad and my uncle and my dad showing sheep there in the 1920s.
At the county fair?
At the county fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my granddad on the Gribble side had registered Jersey cows, and they were shown there about the first time Canby moved from Gladstone to Canby, where the fairgrounds went from.
Right. Right.
So, education has been very important to me.
Right.
I served on a school board in the late 70s, 80s, 90s.
He didn't get far faster.
Not in consecutive order, but
Yeah.
in 4 different decades. My dad told me when I first went on the board, he said, son, remember, we kept the school doors open during the Depression.
Yeah.
So that's when we'd have to go to the voters to get approval for budgets. And it was interesting.
And a challenge.
Yeah.
We had a very diversified board, but we got along, shared our opinions together, and came out. When we came out, we were united on what we were stood for.
Yeah.
And it's a little disturbing to see agendas that are formulated and a group of people can elect a majority of a school board in 1 year and change 50 years of procedures.
Yeah.
Canby was lucky when we went to 7-man board, when we consolidated with all the school districts, that only usually 2 or 3 people were voted on every year, so we didn't have come in and 4 people came up at one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a challenge, but it was enjoyable.
Good.
Met a lot of great educators and community members through that. But education is very important to me.
Yeah.
And
always was.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be an ag teacher to start when I first went to college. That was going to be my goal.
Yeah.
But I took a couple education courses. This isn't my job.
Well, we're running out of time here, but I had a couple, or I guess a last question I wanted to kind of ask to both of you. But Doc, I just wonder. I love hearing all these stories and hearing you talk. I wonder if you must feel very fortunate, right, to be for so long to be able to serve the community that you grew up in this area that was, your entire life has been important to you with livestock.
And it is, and it's going to the state fair once a year, meeting people from all over the West Coast that you've known through the livestock area is very comforting, and keeping track of individuals. It's just the idea that you can do something to help somebody achieve some goals in their farming, livestock raising. A bunch of my clients 5 or 6 years ago got together and established a scholarship in my name at the OSU Vet School.
Right.
Called the Good Barney Award. A friend of ours, who's a writer, author, lives in southeast Portland. She had a goat, and she wanted to take the goat down to vet school. Wanted to know if I'd go with her, and I said, sure. So I went with her, and we were talking to the dean of the school. She says, can I establish a scholarship? And the dean said, yes, you can. She says, I want to establish a scholarship, and she pointed to me and said my name. The Good Boy Barney Award. So I go down the first year to award scholarship to the awards ceremony at the vet school. And I told them, I said, I've been practicing in Oregon for 56 years and never worked a day in my life. And they all, what's wrong with that old boy? But when I graduated from vet school in 1964, there was not one female in my graduating class.
Yeah.
Maybe a half a dozen in school, but none in my graduating class. The last year I went down before the pandemic, they had 55 graduates, 50 women and 5 men.
Wow.
I looked at Dixie and I said, there's not a large animal vet in that whole bunch. And it's getting to be very difficult to get veterinarians to work in a mixed practice or a large animal practice other than horses.
Yeah.
Because that's a specialty practice almost. So it's a challenge, and it's something that I don't know what the answer to it is, but I'm afraid I'm going to be a dinosaur here pretty quick.
Well, Dixie, we'll let you have the last word, as often happens, I'm sure. But yeah, just kind of hearing these stories and kind of revisiting some of these memories, how do you feel looking back on this stuff?
Oh, I've had some pretty good memories over the years.
Yeah.
Keeping track of him.
Yeah.
Getting him where he's supposed to be on the next call.
Oh, sure. Cracking the whip, I'm
things.
sure.
But we have been together a long, long time.
Yeah.
Things don't change over time.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you both so much. It's been so wonderful talking to you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Tyler, did you know that the Australian lyrebird can mimic any sound that it hears, even chainsaws?
No, that's super interesting.
Did you know that a baby puffin is called a puffling? Or that baby sea otters can't swim, so their moms wrap them up in pieces of kelp until they learn how to paddle?
Wait, do you know any trivia that isn't like animal related?
Not really, but here's some stuff you may not know about the Wild Hare Saloon, where Canby goes to eat and have fun.
Okay.
The Wild Hare is one of Canby's longest running locally owned restaurants. Owners Joan and Darren Moden have been in business for 16 years.
That's cool.
Heck, you were just a baby back then.
Wait, what?
And they love to give back. They've been members of the Canby Chamber for that long, and they donate over $20,000 to local sports, FFA programs, and civic organizations each year.
Wow, I'm legitimately caught off. That's cool.
Yeah. They also support more than 30 jobs in the community through their award-winning staff, some of them as young as 18. Hey, that's older than you are.
Dude, I'm 10 months younger than you.
With the days getting longer and the weather getting warmer, the Canby Wild Hare's expansive outdoor patio is the place to be. Furry friends welcome.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to go check them out just off of Highway 99E next to the Space Age in Canby at 1656 Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City, or on their website at thewildharesaloon.net. Now Hear This Canby is produced by me, Tyler Clausen. Our content director and star reporter is Tyler Frankie. And of course, our show is edited by Cameron Clausen. We also feature the vocal talents of Joyce Struby and James Walden. So a round of applause to them. The song that you're hearing right now is Canby by singer-songwriter Olivia Harms, used with her permission. To find more work from her, you can visit her website, olivia13.com.
Now Hear This Canby is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
The production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I just moved it.
I didn't even ask for it, though.